Hi there, this is Jane Butel with Chilies and Chilies, showing you how to make flan, one of the most favorite of all New Mexican, sort of a classic dessert dish. And you can see we have simple ingredients: milk, sugar, vanilla, cinnamon, and eggs, whole eggs. Actually, you can substitute for those, and I'll tell you about it in a minute. Here we have the favored kind of cinnamon. It's called canela, and these are from our Pecos Valley Spice Company. The Mexican vanilla definitely imparts a stronger, better flavor. The cinnamon stick in the center is just to show comparison. It's the harder Madagascar kind of cinnamon, and it won't give you near the flavor. You just place the pieces of canela in the whole milk in a porcelain or heavy saucepan over medium heat, and you just want to warm the milk or bring it up to a little bit of a temperature. You do not want to overly scald it. Now we're going to create a medium high heat, and we're using another cast iron porcelain clad little tiny baby skillet. You can use any kind of a small skillet. You do need a skillet, not a saucepan. We've added the sugar, and we're using, as you can see, a flat-bottomed wooden utensil. That's the best selection to make because you have more wood hitting the pan to help stir the sugar around. You definitely do want to keep the sugar moving. You don't want to just let it sit and go away. The best caramelizing comes from when you just keep stirring it periodically, and when it starts to melt, then you really need to kind of stay right there. Don't answer the door if the doorbell rings. Don't answer the phone. Just keep at it because it'll happen very quickly. In my cooking school, students a lot of times will use too low a heat because I warn them that a sugar burn is really one of the worst. So you want to stir smoothly. Do you see how I'm moving that wooden kind of a ladle type spatula? I'm holding it at a very flat angle so that I won't splatter any out onto my wrist or anything. And so you just want to keep it moving so that you'll equalize the heat with the sugar. And those lumps are not to worry about. They'll go away. And you just kind of keep moving, is all I can say. And you can add other ingredients if you wish to at this point. Once you've gotten the caramelized sugar, you can add pecans or any other favored nut, or you can add coconut if you like. Now you want to remove it as soon as it starts to get caramel like this. Remove it from the heat, and you want to act quickly, or as they say in Spanish, undale. Get moving over to those well buttered. You want those little cassoulets really buttered. And now we're just going to move the caramel syrup into the little 4-ounce cassoulets, and they've been, as I said, generously buttered, and we're putting a cotton terry towel in the bottom to equalize the heat. It'll keep it from getting those little holes where the sugar boils too much. I call it like little ant holes into the custard. It turns out so much better if you do put the towel down. They don't rattle and cause that infusion of the caramel in it, and they'll be more tender as well. Don't worry if some of them get a little more caramel syrup than the others. It all kind of equalizes. And now we're just going to make the custard part. We're just beating the eggs with a very simple wire whisk. And if you don't have a simple whisk, don't use a balloon whisk with tons and tons of the little steel wires in it. Use a fork instead, and never use a mixer. Gradually add the sugar until when you whisk it, or using a fork until you beat it, you don't feel any granular sugar in the bottom of the bowl. You really can't make a mistake in overbeating it, but you do not want to whip it. You don't want to get any air into it, and that would happen if you used a mixer. I know from my cooking school I've had people use a mixer, and then they get baked foam when they pour out the custard into the little cups. I like this particular mixing bowl because it has the spout on it. And now we're adding the Mexican vanilla, and we're just going to mix that a little bit. And you can see there's hardly any air mixed into the eggs. It will pour out as I pour the mixture into the little individual cassoulets. And we're just going to Now start tempering in the warm milk. Now, if you want to, you can use egg beaters, and if you have a health or heart condition and want to substitute other milks, you can. I've used evaporated skim, works very, very well. And we're just tempering in the milk, meaning like adding about 1/4 of the warm milk at a time. And I always like to touch my finger to the milk to make sure it's not too hot. If it's too hot, you have to strain it, and as soon as you catch that it's too hot, strain it immediately and let the milk cool down. And you can see again that we don't have much foam here. We do not want any. So we're just gently mixing these together to make sure they're very well mixed. And you have here pretty much a basic custard that we're going to be baking. And we just add it. Once it's pretty well mixed, we're just going to be adding it into our little individual cassoulets. Now, you can make one large flan. If you're serving a large party or something of that sort, you can double, you can triple, you can quadruple this recipe, put the caramelized syrup in a large pan or even leave it in a large skillet. And the only thing is and you see how full we fill these? We fill them pretty full. And now I'm adding water. You want to put water about 1/2 inch deep around the baking dishes. The temperature of the water really doesn't matter. I'm just using tap water. And I've placed I'm going to place the sort of the bain-marie, the baking pan, gently and carefully on the shelf, and we're going to use a convection oven set at 350, and you will see the recipe printed on our blog, by the way. So there you go. And here you see that some are more brown than others. That comes from the fact that there's always a higher heat towards the back of the oven, especially if there's glass in the door of the oven. And you can tell when they're done because when you kind of shake them a little bit, they should slowly move. They shouldn't slosh. And here you see the final product. And to get it out, you just take a knife, move the custard dish around the knife, not the other way around. And that way you'll make more sure that you don't get a slice of the custard. And you just take, and we're placing it on a little Mexican plate, and you want to tap it, kind of tap it with your fingers. And here we go. We shake it a little bit to release it. And then you'll see there's a little bit of caramel in there. If we'd let this stand for another extra day or so, it would have more caramel syrup. And for this recipe, you just go to janebutellcooking.blogspot.com.